The one after Joey and Rachel kiss is the first episode of the 10th and final season of Friends. This is directed by Kevin Bright, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And with this one, I'm going to go through it chronologically. Usually with Friends, I will talk about each part of the narrative in turn, but everything here flows really well, so I'm just going to go from the beginning to the end and share some thoughts. And it starts off with a really delightful scene. I thought this was a really fun way to catch us up with where Rachel and Joey and Charlie and Ross are, because Monica, Chandler and Phoebe are in the middle room of the adjoining rooms, and they're listening through the walls, and they're learning about Ross and Charlie and Joey and Rachel. And as I said, that was just a really fun way to get us up to date with where we are. And Chandler can hear him. It's congeniality, and it's a lot of fun, and they go back and forth, and it was just beautifully done, really well filmed, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Ross goes to speak with Rachel, and of course they can hear this, and Joey's there, and Rachel doesn't want Ross to see Joey. So she tells Joey to act nonchalant. Joey doesn't know what that means, and we have this delightful moment where just as Ross is about to enter the room, or Rachel's about to open the door, Chandler opens the door of the adjoining room and pulls Joey into the middle room, and it's just so beautifully executed. Rachel's confused. The dialogue there with Ross asking where Joey is, Rachel having no idea where Joey is, it was just so beautifully written, so funny. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. And once Ross leaves and Joey reappears, Joey and Rachel realise that they should really wait to talk with Ross, because he was going to do the same. He was going to talk with Joey before things progressed with Charlie. Obviously, he's already kissed her. Sometime later, Monica comes back from the hair salon with the seashells in her braided hair. I don't know who goes to the salon the day they're going home. I feel like you'd want to do that the day you arrive when you learn the humidity is affecting your hair, but nevertheless, it looks great and it sounds even better. We're then on the plane and everybody's going home, of course. Phoebe is sitting beside Mike. And we learn that actually he's been dating somebody for 3 months. And he's absolutely allowed to do that. I feel like he and Phoebe haven't been separated for that long. Of course they have, but it just does not feel like that at all. And of course he's going to break it off with this person, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Ross then talks with Joey, and Joey says all of the right things about he and Charlie never really having that much in common. She's so much better with Ross, and it's so lovely. And then Ross flatters Joey and really compliments him for all of these nice things and says how good of a friend he is. And Joey doesn't tell him about Rachel. It was the perfect opportunity. But of course, Joey was getting all of this praise. He didn't really have anything else to say. I'm not sure if I believe he consciously chose to not say anything because he didn't want to ruin the praise, or if he was so overcome with positive emotions that he kind of just forgot about what he was meant to be talking about. I feel like it's maybe the former, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd love to know if anybody has any strong opinions on that. And we then are at Mike's apartment, and Phoebe is there. She's actually waiting for Mike because Mike has gone on this date with this other woman where he's going to break it off with her. And, well, there's a knock at the door. Phoebe answers. It's a woman called Precious. And she's played by Dudek. And, well, she thought they were meeting at Mike's apartment. Mike thought they were meeting at the restaurant. And we'll come back to that in a moment as well. We then jump around a little bit. Monica's still really enjoying her seashells. Rachel brings Emma over to Ross's apartment and she wants to talk with Ross. But there's a major shampoo explosion, so now is not a good time. We're then back with Phoebe. And I don't know if Phoebe did the right thing here. She's talking with Precious. She decides to call her Susie because she doesn't want to call her Precious. I feel like it would have been easier to just not name her, but nevertheless, she ends up telling her that she's back with Mike and Mike was going to break it off with her. And I feel like that's not really Phoebe's place. I feel like you want to hear it from the person who's breaking up with you. Granted, Phoebe did kind of need to have a reason to explain why she was in Mike's apartment, so I feel like she did the best in the moment, but I'd like to think that with hindsight, she'd realised that it probably wasn't the best idea, because really Mike should have been the one to say that. But then she comforts Precious and basically agrees that Mike's kind of a jerk. He flew out there to be with her in Barbados while he was still dating Precious. And, well, Mike comes back in the apartment, having been caught up with the situation. And as Precious leaves, she slaps him. So she seems okay at the moment. She seems to have got out some of her anger towards Mike, and, well, Mike's now free to date Phoebe, which is lovely. Mike is back, and it's really great to see, and great to talk about as well, because obviously when they were going through the breakup and I was discussing those episodes, it was really difficult for me to not talk about the fact that, well, he's going to be back in the picture. It's not a big deal. But obviously at the time, when you watch it for the first time, you don't know that. And he does come back into it really, really quickly. As I said, it feels like no time has passed at all since they broke up. And I'm glad about that. And then, well, Monica gets stuck in the shower. And then we have the ending. Rachel and Joey are in their apartment, and they decide that they're not going to sleep together. They're not going to do anything until they tell Ross. But they can't resist. They end up kissing. And that's when Ross walks in and catches them. And then the very ending is Monica and her seashells, and Chandler asks to watch Miss Congeniality, which he'd heard through the wall earlier on. Great film, definitely recommend it. It's a solid episode. I think it wrapped everything up nicely. I think it was a really fun way to keep us up to date with everything. It does get a little annoying that nobody was willing to tell Ross, despite the fact they know that Ross had kissed Charlie right after she broke up with Joey. So I don't know why they're kind of pussyfooting around this. Just tell him. But of course, that's a cow's opinion, because he's just walked in on them anyway. And of course, we will explore the aftermath later on. And for now, of course, the one after Joey and Rachel case is a solid start to season 10, the final season. It's taken a long time to get here. I will get sentimental and emotional when we get towards the end. It's a decent episode, definitely wraps things up nicely, moves us forward with Ross finding out, and I'm looking forward to rewatching the next episode.